Kings and Queens, it is your divorce and relationship coach. I am Nicole Knox, and today, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about Queen Nija, Chris Sales, and Clarence NyC. Let's get into it. So the reason why I want to talk about their situation, it's starting to become near and dear to my heart because Queen Nija and I feel like me and Queen Nija kind of have the same story. I was for a fact with my ex-husband longer than she was with Mr. Chris Sales. And I felt the need to touch on this because at this point, this is beyond crazy. First things first, I do pray that Chris Sales does go to counseling. Divorce is very hard on people in general, and then divorce is really hard on families, and then divorce is really hard on children. And one of the issues that I feel is the biggest one that nobody is, really touching bases on is that they live in two totally different states. And that's a lot when you're accustomed with a family where you and your child were in the same home. Then let alone on top of that, you guys are in two different states. Then on top of that, another man is spending more time with your child than you are. So that's a lot. And then all of this is playing out in the public media. I don't want to say I'm a huge Chris Sales fan because I'm not. I'm actually a Queen Nija and Clarence NyC fan. But I want to touch bases on the fact that I feel really bad for Chris Sales. First things first, because reason being, how his life is playing out now, it is due to his own accountability. Let's start there. Things just don't happen to you. You cause those things to happen to you, and then things that happen to you later down the life is a repercussion for the things that you've done in the past. And the sad part about it is the fact that the last final straw was the incident of him getting into it, and it was in front of CJ. And then now people are pulling out these receipts about, Queen Nija, and she was smoking weed and blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter, the fact that any real parent, let's just be honest. And if the shoe was on the other foot, let's be honest, Chris Sales would feel the same way. If he looked on social media and while his son was with Clarence or Queen Nija, and he saw them getting into it, and their son was sitting right there, he would be very concerned for his son's safety. That's any parent. Any parent. And, when feelings are high and there's a not so much of a good past, between there, it goes a lot farther than, things that I've hoped for. And at this point, Queen Nija feels that, which she has every right to feel, that better protection is needed for her son. Now, what I don't like is how it's all playing out in front of the media. And one of the things that I need the world to understand, especially with relationships and divorce, is stop putting your business on social media. These three people actually have each other's phone number. And the sad part about it is, and one of the things that I took away, even though, and yes, I have a situation similar to Queen Nija's, where my ex-husband and his family, they bashed me very horribly in social media. And I had their numbers. Instead of going back and forth with them on social media, I called. I'm like, I don't do the social media stuff. I'm a little old for that. And one day our children is going to see this. One day CJ is going to see this. He's going to see, old things from 10 years ago that happen to celebrities all the time, where things that they said 10 years ago comes back up in their life. And so this is going to all one day, CJ's going to see this crap. He's going to see his mom and dad. It doesn't even matter who was right or wrong, but he's basically going to one day see all three of his parents acting a donkey on display for the world to see. And at this point, it's no longer about Chris Sales and Queen Nija. Their divorce is over. It's about CJ and what's best for CJ. And I seen a video where a young lady was like, the good girl, she smoked weed. We didn't see CJ in the video, sweetheart. And I don't know if he has, Chris Sales has had CJ. There is some things that I've seen that the world has put out, and well, actually Chris Sales, not as the world, but the world is spread like wildfire, that Chris Sales has put out. And I, as a mother, was like, oh, Chris, I wouldn't have did that, especially with the type of relationship you have with his mom. That wasn't a good look. If you guys had a better relationship, it didn't look that bad. You know, for me with Chris Sales, it's a decision making. They're all extremely young. Let's start there. I'm in my mid-30s. So all of these people are really young. I don't think any one of them's over 26 or 27. I'm not sure. But so the decisions that they're making with this generation and new age is decisions that young people would make in their immaturity. It's a little bit of a growing up process. And again, I just feel like right now, for the sake of CJ, it all should just stop. I pray that, again, that Chris Sales does get counseling. Again, divorce is really hard. And, you know, one of the things about women versus men when it comes to moving on, women move on, they try to attempt to heal first before men. Men jump into relationship after relationship, you know, it's the craziest thing. But women, normally we try to fix it, go to counseling, we try to do everything before it hits the fan. And then by the time the divorce probably happened, and then Queen Nija, and I'm just assuming this because I don't know her personally, I'm assuming that she pretty much tried to work on herself before she made that decision. First of all, divorce is very hard. I'm divorced. It's not like we just go out there after we've been with this person who we vowed to be with forever and decided like, oh no, I'm going to give myself and my family to another man. We don't come to that decision likely. That wasn't the original plan. So I am assuming that Queen Nija, she thought all this through. And when she was healed and when she was ready, she has a beautiful relationship with Clarence NyC. I love their relationship. Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But I love their family. And, you know, with people, and I'm not saying, and I feel this way, though, about Chris Sales, is that, and I'm just going to say the same thing about my ex-husband. When you made a mistake and you thought which was the right decision for you at that moment, and some time passes and you get out of that space and you realize that you made a mistake. That's very hard, but then that's all, again, accountability. And that's why people should not make decisions when they're angry. Permanent decisions at that, especially when it comes to your family. And then now, you know, everyone has seen all his mistakes online that he can't get past of. Everybody is pulling out all the receipts. Everybody's accusing him of missing her. And, you know, he did finally admit that he did. All of this is hard. And it's a lot to process. It's a lot to process when I did it in my 30s. So I can only imagine in your 20s how hard it is to process. Then, you know, so again, I want to say all of this between the three of them is crazy. All of us weighing in on it, on this family, is crazy. And I just pray that one day they can all get past this. And it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot because I know that there's a lot of hurt. Hurt people. So it's a lot of hurt going on between them. But I really want, I do pray for healing for all three of them. Even though, and I guess I can truly say this, and I'm not saying that this is how Queen Nija feels, but just from my own experience, you never want, even if my ex-husband treated me, or how I'm assuming Chris Sales treated Queen Nija, when you're a good person, which plenty of people have said she is, you don't, even though somebody treated you horribly in life, that's not what we want back for them. We don't want them to be treated back poorly, especially not your child's parent, because that affects your child. And one of the things that even I watch is how I treat my ex-husband, or how I talk to my ex-husband, because it's not about me anymore. It's about my children. My children, if he's hurting, whether that has to do with me or not, my children are hurting. My children are upset if they can't go and see their father for whatever reason that he comes up with. Because my children grew up with both of their parents in the household. So when we got a divorce, that was my goal, to keep it as close to that as possible. I wasn't raised with a father. So my whole ordeal was to make sure that their lives, to the best of my ability, regardless how I felt about their father, mimic their majority of their life. My ex-husband and I got our divorce when our children were a whole lot older than CJ. So that's hard when all you know is a two-parent household, and then you go to a one-parent household, and then now you're dealing with a blended family. That's hard on children. So I do pray that Queen Nija and Clarence and Chris Sales, they do get it together as soon as possible, because the older CJ gets, he could see this for himself. He could see that his parents going back and forth, and it's hurtful. It's hurtful. And it doesn't make it any better that it's played out for the entire world to see. And, and a lot of people in this generation, it's like, oh, okay, yes, girl, forget him. Live your best life and show all the happy pictures. But nobody understands it's very hurtful. Especially when you're down bad. One of the things that my ex-husband had explained to me, and I had to be very compassionate, he would say to me, oh, we just left and now you're living your best life. And self-consciously, selfishly, I said to myself, well, you were doing that while we were married, and that's why we're divorced. You didn't care about my feelings. And then I had to realize, hurt people hurt people. And, I had to explain to him that even though we're past 5 years, one, you shouldn't be watching me on social media. But two, I have moved on, and I pray that you go to church and you go to counseling, and that you move on as well, because anything I do, it doesn't have nothing to do with you. I went to counseling for years before our divorce was finalized. I went, and tried to go to counseling for us to have our blended family, so we can know how to walk through having a blended family. So now, but when I'm really sure about, bringing a man around my kids or even dating, I wanted to make sure that I was ready. And even though for years I had watched my ex-husband do it, I personally didn't do it. I watched my ex-husband do it. I tried to be compassionate to my ex-husband and say, what I do is not intentional. I really did move on from you, where you were doing stuff to me to hurt me. Two different things. I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I just moved on. But I'm still very cognizant and mindful of, our children, and having open communication, and just making sure that whatever we do is best for the children. And that's what I hope for Queen Nija and Chris Sales, is at this time, whatever they do is best for CJ. And that they really stop putting this stuff, just not putting all this stuff on social media. This is also private, and it doesn't need to be on social media. It doesn't need to be on social media at all. So again, that's all I have for you guys. It was just my thoughts today on the Queen Nija and Chris Sales thing. And again, I hope that they get it, they work it out. They work it out as parents, and they have a beautiful co-parenting relationship. And that one day that him and Clarence are able to sit down and hold a conversation man to man, because that's very important to children. So you guys let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. View my other videos. Enjoy your weekend.